Hey, good morning guys. We're about to get a flood of Street Fighter V Arcade Edition information all weekend because AE is finally going to be playable during the demo stations at Capcom Cup. And on top of this, Capcom has given us a blog update with all the information for every single V-trigger in the game for every character. And on top of this, they have also updated the move list for some characters for Arcade Edition, and some characters have been given new moves. So pretty crazy. I'm going to be briefly going through these V-triggers with you guys because we're about to get a ton of footage, and I'll go through it in more depth after we get that footage. So let's start with Ryu here. Nothing new that we already don't know, except that his V-skill and his V-trigger are separate, so his counter and his parry are separate. So you can still use his V-skill if you want to parry multi-hitting attacks, but if you press hard punch and hard kick at the same time, he'll do his counter instead, which will punch him, and then you can follow up from a crumple attack. Really cool. But on top of this, Ryu has been given a new special move, his donkey kick. Yes, his donkey kick is back in the game. Pretty crazy. I can't wait to see what it looks like. Alright, now we have Chun-Li. As we know, she has her Kikosho. Nothing new from this either. We know she can charge it by holding down hard punch and hard kick. But it says if you fully charge the Kikosho, it gains guard break properties. So it'll guard crush your opponent. That's pretty crazy. I'll see if Chun-Li has any setups where it'll force a guard break on your opponent if you get a hard knockdown, for example. Something similar to Ryu's V-Trigger 1. So that's really cool. And I can't wait to see what kind of setups Chun-Li players come up with. Alright, moving on, we got Nash, his stealth dash. Nothing new from this either, except that his quarter, Justice Quarter, that's the one where he slams down with the punch after the dash. That is an overhead attack. I mean, it's a pretty slow overhead attack, but still an overhead nonetheless. And he can stop his dash midway by pressing back, which is really cool. So that means he can cancel to his special moves, dash towards the opponent, stop it, and maybe throw the opponent or throw them off. And it just gives him more mobility in general. He doesn't have to follow up with one of those two special moves, the flash kick move, the Justice Shell, or the overhead punch, the Justice Corridor. It also says he can't do the special move into itself. So you have to go shell into Corridor, for example. You can't go shell into shell. Okay, moving on to Bison, his Psycho Nightmare. It says that his Psycho Crusher is given to him during his second V-Trigger. So it's not just a new special move, you have to have the second V-Trigger to do his Psycho Crusher. And on top of this, his Psycho Charge, it says it's done by reverse half circle, so half circle back, plus kick to perform a command throw. So it's confirmed it's not just a hit grab, it's a command throw. Damn, that's crazy. And Bison's second V-Trigger, it's 2 bars. So Bison getting the command throw is scary enough as it is, and it says when you do land the command grab on the opponent, it puts the Psycho Charge on him, and it detonates after a set period of time, or you can just detonate it yourself, and it says using forward to back plus kick. And then we know that when you do detonate it, you can juggle into a Psycho Crusher after. Really flashy. Okay, Cammy's V-Trigger is a little weird. First it says you activate her V-Trigger, and then she'll jump and fly towards the opponent. I'm assuming it's going to look something similar to her Hooligan. You can then press Punch, which will do a command throw on the opponent called Delta Twist, or you can press Kick, which will do a downwards kick attack on the opponent. It looks like a moonsault slash, basically. A moonsault kick, and it's like another dive kick for her, which will get in on the opponent, and you can probably combo afterwards as well. And then when you're on the ground, if you press forward and V-Trigger with Cammy, then she will do a quick forward dash, and it says you can cancel her normal moves into the dash and use it for combos. So that's really interesting. It's basically like a focus attack dash cancel from her moves. It allows her to do a bunch of, you can actually do a bunch of normal attacks on you, then cancel that to that forward dash, and then continue pressuring you from there. So sounds really, really strong, and that's probably why it's a 3-bar V-Trigger. Okay, Birdie's V-Trigger, Birdie time. We know about this. It's confirmed that it's 2 chain attacks. So you just press V-Trigger again, he'll do his forward chain, or you can press down V-Trigger and do his low chain. And it says manipulates V-skills, which we already know. The can knocks it up in the air, and the banana, it knocks it forward. Okay, Ken now, nothing new from here except that it confirms that you can rapidly press punch to do more hits with Ken Shinryuken, and it goes higher, of course, which we've seen in the trailer. But on top of this, it says the landing recovery of the max strength version with rapid button presses can be special move cancelled, leading to some very powerful combos. So that's scary. So that means when Ken does the full like matched version, I don't know how much V-gauge that will drain. When Ken is landing from this uppercut, he can cancel that into a special move. So that's going to be a lot of damage. You could probably cancel into another uppercut or even a hard Tatsu maybe. So that means Ken's going to combo into this thing. You'll do a combo into Shinryuken, and at the end he's going to combo still. I mean, if you guys are worried about that not doing enough damage, this sounds like it's going to do a ton of damage. So don't worry, Ken players. Alright, Nicole's next V-trigger. So the way it's written on this blog is kind of weird, but if you look at the move list, it makes it more clear. So this is how it works. Nicole's second V-trigger is going to do the exact same thing as his first V-trigger. Both V-triggers are going to make Nicole's hair go crazy. He's still going to get his insane dashes. His V-skill will be super fast. All that's going to be the same. The only difference is that now his first V-trigger gets a new special move called Clouded Mirror. And it says, Clouded Mirror is a special move Nicole gains after activating his first V-trigger. It is a ranged attack where Nicole jumps at his opponent with a strike. I don't know what it looks like, we just see the screenshot. Hold down the buttons to greatly increase the move's strength. Nicole can juggle the opponent after the max strength version hits. And it says it has quite a bit of startup, and you can use his V-skill to kind of keep your opponent on the toes to protect you with that startup. So, he gets a new special move in his first V-trigger, and then in his second V-trigger, which it doesn't mention, but you gotta look in the move list, he gets a new move called Heart of Gold in his second V-trigger. No idea what it does. You press V-trigger again, and it does this move. So there you go. Nicole's V-trigger will always be powerful 1 or 2. The only difference is that you choose between these two moves. Clouded Mirror for V-trigger 1 and Heart of Gold for V-trigger 2. Okay, now for Vega's V-trigger, he gets a counter attack. So Vega will do a counter if the opponent attacks him, and then the counter will convert into this upwards kick attack. Now the crazy thing is you can press forward in V-trigger, and Vega will just do the kick attack raw. So you don't actually have to counter the opponent. You can use this as an actual attack. It looks like an anti-air the way, it looks like Zeku's uppercut. And it says you can also combo into this V-trigger as well, the kick attack. So it adds burst to Vega's combos. It's not just a defensive V-trigger, but on top of that, you can use it as a counter, which leads to this kick attack as well. So if you're a Vega player looking for extra burst or defensive options, this looks like a strong V-trigger. Okay, Armika's V-trigger. Nothing new, except that it says that if you hold down the button, it does Fighting Dirty, where Nadeshiko will run up, the opponent take 2 swings at them with the steel chair, and it does confirm that she throws the chair. So I'm not sure what the second version does. We haven't seen any footage of it, but we know that there's 2 variations. Okay, Karin's second V-trigger, she gets her counters back from Street Fighter Alpha, which is cool. So she does a counter, and what it does is it depends on what the opponent hits you with. If they hit you with a standing attack, it will do a counter, and if they hit you with a low attack, it will do a different type of counter. But the crazy part about this counter that Karin gets is that it says that she can cancel a recovery of her special moves, including her V-skill, into this counter. So that's really scary. So this is not just defensive either. This Karin can then be more offensive, do some more careless special moves, because the opponent's going to second guess themselves because you're going to be scared to punish you, because when you're in recovery, you can cancel into this counter, making it really scary. So you got to throw and punish Karin on this. So I'm interested to see this, that V-trigger. Alright, now we have Rashid's V-trigger. This one's a little complicated. It buffs up a lot of things. So it says that his kick special moves are enhanced on this, and it'll change them to these big whirlwind shots. So that's the screenshot we see. So that means his fireballs with his kicks looks like they go forward instead of upwards, and they're taller, right? Looks like they're harder to dodge, and the opponent has to deal with them. On top of this, it increases the range of his projectiles as well, so it looks like they go full screen. And it also increases the jump speed and distance of his front flips, and allows Rashid to perform a wall jump after his EX Eagle Spike. So his V-skill jumps will probably travel a lot further because it's probably manipulated by the wind too. And his EX Eagle Spike, that's his forward kick attack, can jump off walls and during combos. So that's really crazy. So that adds some burst to Rashid as well. It basically just enhances Rashid. It changes from his first V-trick, which was all about setups, and this is just all about enhancing Rashid himself. So I can't wait to see the new combos that he gains from that. Okay, Zangief's V-trigger, Kozak Muscle. So what this does is it enhances Zangief's SPDs. It changes the property on his ground SPD and his air SPD. And what it does is it allows him to combo into them. Just like old school, like the alpha version of Zangief from Street Fighter V. and special move cancelled, and it'll combo, leading to command throw combos that usually aren't possible. So really scary. This will be for like Zangy players for certain matchups where you don't need to suck in the opponent, right? And it'll just make his combos that much stronger, and that's scary because if you can combo into his SVDs, it allows him guaranteed Oki basically if he lands a hit. So yeah, pretty scary on that. Dhalsim's second V trigger. This one's a little hard to explain. So basically, Dhalsim creates this large fireball in front of him, okay, and it just stays there. It's kind of like a catastrophe, mini Yoga catastrophe, okay. He can then do his Yoga Flame, and it will make it move in a certain direction depending on probably the strength of the Yoga Flame. You can also use his Yoga Gale, which is his air Yoga Flame. You can also do this V trigger in the air and plant it in the air, because this sounds like a long process. You know, you gotta activate it and then you gotta do the Yoga Flame to move it around, right? But you can also activate it in the air, so it'll be a little bit safer. And then it says it'll be on the screen for a while, and then you can continue to manipulate where it goes by using another Yoga Flame on it after you already hit it. So it sounds really nuts. Kind of sounds like Venom from Guilty Gear, kind of, where you got this like pool ball just going all over the screen. So I'm really interested to see the setups from that. Okay, let's talk about Laura's new V trigger now. It seems to be a dodge and then a throw. So you press V trigger and then she'll dodge all attacks except for throws, so you have to throw her to stop this. And then you press V trigger again and she'll do a shock choke on the opponent. You can also do a dodge and then cancel the dodge into her V skill to move forward, and then you could do the shock choke. So a defensive option for Laura. And for Laura players, keep in mind that her first V trigger is now 3 bars instead of 2, so it looks like they nerfed it. Okay, moving on to Fangs' new V trigger, or a V trigger, I guess. It makes it so his up fireballs and his cloud will be strengthened while active, with an increase in hits and the attack hitbox. This improves Fangs' ability to restrict his opponent's movements, so they probably are bigger. And on top of this, it says that he can cancel his up fireballs into his command dash, where he slides towards the opponent, allowing him to close the distance and allow pressure because the fireballs are mid-air during that dash. So that sounds really offensive for Fang, which is cool. Alright, Alex is now his rage boost. So Alex will gain a move called Flying DDT and Choke Sleeper. So the Flying DDT is a moving throw that works against standing opponents. In addition to being a surprising mid-range attack, Flying DDT can be cancelled for moves that cause a lot of hit stun, resulting in a somewhat long-range combo ability. Okay, so he presses V trigger again, and it looks like Alex will move forward and grab the opponent. Might be something similar to Laura's EX grab. We gotta see some footage from it, and on top of that, he can cancel into this moving grab for moves with a lot of hit stun. I'm assuming Flash Chop or maybe his elbow. Choke Sleeper can be performed only after Flash Chop on hit or block, and on hit leaves Alex in close to continue his offensive pressure. Choke Sleeper only hits close range, so be mindful of the range which Flash Chop hits. So it just allows combo filler from his Flash Chops as well, but it looks like it to be point blank for it to actually hit. So that's really interesting. Definitely got to see some footage on that V trigger, but it seems like it's pretty strong for Alex in general, because normally when Alex activates his V trigger, if he doesn't land that initial hit, it's hard for him to get back into that sledgehammer. He's got to get that forward hard punch, but this looks like it just enhances Alex, period. Okay, Ibuki's now. We already know about Ibuki's V trigger, her Fuma Shuriken, but it does confirm that it does have 2 trajectories. One if you press the V trigger, and the other if you hold back and press the V trigger. And it says one will be used against grounded opponents, and the other angle is upwards for anti-air usage. Okay, Guile's second V trigger, it is confirmed that his flash kicks do make fireballs on the screen. So that's really interesting. It says this projectile could be on screen at the same time as Sonic Boom and Sonic Cross, his V skill. Really cool. So that means that if you're playing against someone really laggy, you don't have to worry about where he is on the screen. The fireball will hit him if he's on the ground, and your flash kick will hit him in the air, and then we know his flash kick comes to the EX version. So it sounds like a lot of extra damage, and it sounds useful now. I was kind of worried about this one compared to his first V trigger, so that sounds cool. Okay, let's talk about Urian's second V trigger now. It's called Tyrant Blaze, a multi-hit tackle attack where he charges forward towards the opponent. And if you can charge the move, and while you're charging, you have armor, so if the opponent tries to stop you. And it looks like if you fully charge it, it will also guard break the opponent and put them into a juggle state. So that sounds like it'll do a lot of damage. I'm curious how the combos will look for this. It's also a 2-bar V trigger, so it'll be more for players that either want an earlier V trigger or something more simple. They don't have to worry about setups with the Aegis Reflector. Okay, Jerry's second V-trigger. This is a really interesting one. So, Jerry apparently does this roundhouse kick attack upon activation, and it kind of sucks the opponent towards her. And then she has to swirl around her, and if the opponent is standing in that field, it drains the opponent's EX gauge, and it gives Jerry their EX gauge, and drains it over time. It doesn't drain it when you're in the air, and it doesn't drain it when you throw the opponent. But this sounds really, really cool. It's all about being really close to your opponent and slowly draining their special meter. Jerry, I mean, her having a lot of special meter doesn't sound super useful from her type of attacks, but it sounds really useful against characters that really need that EX meter, like Balrog, as it shows in the screenshot. Really, really cool. Speaking of Balrog, his second V-trigger, No Mercy, as we know, it is a command throw by pressing hard punch and hard kick. Sounds really, really scary if you mix it with his V-skill on how fast he can close in on the opponent. By the way, word on the street is that all of his taps are -2 on block now, which makes sense because of this V-trigger. And it's called B3. You guys know what B3 stands for? I'm not sure. But yeah, Balrog gets a command throw V-trigger. Okay, Akuma's V-trigger. This one sounds weird. So, it says Akuma can link together powerful attacks using the V timer instead of the EX gauge. Grounded hard punch and hard kick attacks, and each of his special moves can be cancelled into EX special moves. So that means this is something similar to like Bison's first V trigger, where Bison can combo all special moves into special moves. And same with Akuma. Akuma also is not able to do his Raging Demon in the second V trigger. But I mean, how could you if when you're canceling all your special moves using EX meter? Anyways, there are many moves he'll be able to cancel into the EX special moves, giving him the ability to deal great damage from a number of situations. And we can see from the move list that some of his moves are enhanced, his Red Fireball and his Tatsu, probably to help him do some serious combos. So that's really interesting too. And let me check real quick to see how many bars that Akuma's second V-trigger is. It's 2 bars, so it's an earlier V-trigger as well. Okay, Colleen's second V-trigger, this sounds like a lot. It's called Absolute Zero. It's a 2-bar V-trigger. While active, Colleen's punch attacks and Hailstorm will be strengthened. That's her fireball attack. Additionally, she has a forward dash where she will slide across the floor on a sheet of ice. She can also press V-trigger to perform Frost Edge. During this move, Colleen's attacks will be given dash properties similar to medium Vanity Step, that's her command dash. She can perform a high-speed Frost Edge from her forward dash, and if it hits, you can press V-trigger for Reverse Javelin, which will freeze the opponent and prevent them from recovering stun meter. This sounds insane. So this adds a lot of pressure to her fireball attacks, allows her to get in quickly with her dash. I mean, this sounds really, really powerful. So I can't wait to see some footage on that. Okay, Ed's second V-trigger, Enhanced Snatcher. There are 2 versions of this, because I was wondering because it looked like his V-skill. One is if you use the directional buttons to change between ground and anti-air versions of his V-skill looking moves, his Snatcher, and Ed will fly towards the opponent with a strike. On hit, he'll be able to combo afterwards, as we've seen from the trailer. And on block, Ed will be put at advantage, so he'll be plus, which is interesting. And then it says if you hit him with the air version of it, it can be used both as an anti-air and in juggle combos, which is cool as well. So I can't wait to see some extensions for that for Ed. And it'll make his neutral a lot stronger too, because he can land straight hits into this. Okay, Abigail, his hybrid charge. So, while active, Abigail will be able to use the powerful tackle move Metro Crash by pressing V-trigger, and it can be strengthened to a 2nd level while holding down the buttons. So kind of similar to Urian's V-trigger, second one. So Abigail will have hyper armor while charging, no surprise, letting him absorb multiple hits. However, their charge will be vulnerable to throws and critical arts. Maximum charge Metro Crash will guard break, and Abigail keeps his hyper armor even while moving forward. So yeah, a lot of guard breaks I see from these V-triggers. Okay, Minot's second V-trigger, we already seen this. It does show that you can use it twice, and then the second time you summon them again by pressing V-trigger after you throw the orbs out, and I'll throw all 6 orbs out in different types of sequences. And you can manipulate them by doing, it says reverse quarter circle down the back plus punch, and I'm assuming the punch determines the trajectory that these orbs fly at. So that's really interesting. It doesn't seem like, since there's so many different variations, it could be used, it says, to stop the opponent's movements, anti-air, and extending combos. So it seems like there's a lot of potential. It's not just an easier version of her first V-trigger. And then finally we have Zeku. As we've seen, it confirms that it is the same for both forms as that anti-air looking V-trigger. It adds burst to him. And yeah, it's everything that we know from the trailer, nothing new. So it says it functions as a counterattack, and it will straight up beat air attacks, so an anti-air. So yeah, guys, that's all the V-triggers, man. I mean, right after this video, I'm sure we're going to get a ton of footage, and I'll break them down all again in more in-depth on their exact uses. And of course, I can't wait to see some footage of some of the new special attacks coming into the game. Manat got a Soul Spark move. She has a projectile when her orbit's already out, so I can't wait to see what that looks like. Ryu's got his Donkey Kick. I mean, some V-triggers are changing how many bars there are, like Laura's first V-trigger is now 3 bars. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on now, guys. So I can't wait to see all the footage. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below of your character's second V-trigger and if you'll be using it. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, guys, because I'll keep you updated all weekend. Of course, I'll be watching the tournament as well. Don't forget to like the video as well too, guys. And yeah, I'll keep you posted. See you next time.